Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Mike Prince Show. I am your host, the radio guy, the doctor, Mike Prince. As you know, we come to you each and every day right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network, giving you all the insides and outs of the HBCU world and beyond. And of course, our beloved Prairie View A&M University is at front and center. Today, we have a special treat with you guys for today. In fact, this was a on-demand request, and it took me a few ticks on the clock, but we finally got it. And without further ado, we're going to introduce to some and present to others none other than Dr. Tim Zachary of the PV Watching Storm. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, man. I'd like to say a hearty hello to all the folks out of the TV Nation, and thank you for the support that you've given me over the years.
Yes, sir. Year number 7, and they say complete things happen in year number 7. But before we get into all that, let's talk about your journey and how you landed here on the Hill.
And back in 1988, I left Southern early and joined the United States Navy Band. I toured the world and did some wonderful things while I was in the Navy Band. I got out of the Navy Band and finished my degree at Norfolk State University. Some wonderful musicians there. I got to meet two of the greatest icons in the HBCU world there, Paul Adams and O'Neill Sanford. Both were Southern grads, but they were at Norfolk State at the time. I stayed at Norfolk State and did a graduate degree, went from Norfolk back to Indiana University, did a doctorate in trumpet performance, and ended up getting hired at Norfolk as an assistant back in 2002. I stayed at Norfolk from 2002 to 2012 as an assistant director, even though I'd been a graduate assistant for a few years before I left. And I came to Prairie View in 2012. So like I said, the journey was filled with lots of adventure. I got to PV in 2012, saw what was here, really fell in love with the program and the institution. From a traditional standpoint as well as a historical standpoint. I was filled with wonderful things, all the necessary items to become something great out of something great was already on the table. I am by no means some mythical band director. This school was great long before I came here. I'm just honored and privileged to be here to help it go a little further.
Well, contrary to popular belief, Doc, there are many people who are giving you credit for somewhat resurrecting the Marching Storm when you first took over in 2012. Would you care to go in a little detail about that transitional period of what it took for your vision and message to get across? Because we know when people get accustomed to things, they say, we've never done this that way, but it give us a little detail on how it took to transition through.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I have to thank the administration and the faculty and the students for allowing me to come here and have a side of the mainstream vision that was shared at PV at the time. But I've always said that if I'm going to do something, I have to do it in the vein of Tim Zachary. I can't be a better person on this planet other than myself. Given all the variables that were here and realizing that I had a concept in mind, I've been a lot of places. I got to play with the Virginia Symphony for 10 years. I played with many professional artists. I got to sit in with Natalie Cole and all those great things. And all those things make me who I am as a musician. And I'm a musician first and foremost. So in 2012, that was the order of the day. You can't build Rome overnight. And I wasn't going to build this band program to its great heights overnight. So we attacked the object of improving the musicianship. That was number one. All the other stuff, in fact, you can interview any of the students that were here at the time. I told them for 100 days, I wasn't going to make any drastic changes in what they were doing. I was going to observe. I was going to tally what was good and take away what was bad at the end of 100 days. So I came in not as a wrecking ball, but as an observer. We wanted to figure out what works. And also, we have a standard in music. And it's not a standard that's just applied to HBCUs. Good music and bad music, they're the only types of music in the world. We have many genres of music. But you can have someone on the stage who's playing country music and it's the best music you've ever heard in your life, if the musicians give it life. or you can listen to R&B and hear the worst song of your experience if the musicians can't give it life. So it's not about what we're playing, it's about how we play it. The order of the day from 2012 up until the true renaissance in sound, which was around 2014, because we had to develop, we had to reinforce, we had to revisit every single day a fundamental concept of sound. And you could take that and put it in the New York Philharmonic, or you could take it and put it in the Basie Band, or you could put it in the Marching Storm, or anybody else's band, University of Michigan. The core sense of what a good sound is the same. How we play, what we do with that sound is different. And that has been our concept and philosophy for the past 6 years. And once we were able to establish a sound, then we wanted to revisit the identity. We always want people to recognize PV as PV. And that has always been a challenge for me, because I have to become a detective, a historian, and really look at these things and say, is this still identifiable as PV? And but if it is not, if a single person on my staff says it's not, we don't use it. Respect we have for all the people that came before us, anyone that's ever come to this institution, and especially anyone that's ever put on a uniform.
That is very interesting and a nice approach and concept to leadership. And when you're, quote unquote, the new kid on the block and transitioning through. And because let's be honest, it's going to always be an adjusting period, no matter who you are, whether it's in music, whether it's in athletics, and whatever walk of life that you happen to be in at that time. We're speaking right now with the Dr. Tim Zachary of the Prairie View A&M University Marching Storm. Now, are you one of these musicians, Doc? Now, you got a ton of education and experience behind you, but many people that have a musical gift and talent, they start off not necessarily able to read music, and they have the perfect pitch, they're able to play by ear, and they have to learn along the way. But I'm finding out that that keeps a lot of people from advancing further in music because of their inability to read music. Were you one of those guys?
No, I am a true hodgepodge of experiences. I had really great teachers at an early age, and they all came from different walks of life. I had a gentleman that taught me early in life. He was the lead trumpet player with the Basie Band and the Ellington Band. One of the few persons on this planet to ever do that. I played, a guy lived in my neighborhood who was a trumpet player with Cameo. My teacher at the time was regarded as one of the best trumpet players in the country. Now, this is 13-year-old Tim Zachary. So they didn't allow me to do anything crazy. I was required to learn these things. And I had a high school band director that taught me theory. I probably finished the college level theory by the time I was a junior in high school.
Okay.
So by the time I got to college, theory was a joke to me because I had so many people in my life that were feeding me such great information. They saw something in me, and they pushed me in a direction, and they would not let me veer off left or right. You're only going to go to this point. And then, some of them are real cool guys, and some of those were old school. I'm going to grab you by your collar and put you in your place, but you're going to do this. And to this day, I stand on the shoulders of great men and women throughout my entire career. This is not an accident. At every stage in my life, there's been somebody there to show me the way, whether it was O'Neill Sanford at Norfolk State or Cottrell Wren teaching me trumpet for free from junior high school throughout high school. Now, at that time, he was charging $30 a half hour. He taught me for 5 years for free.
Wow. That's the gift that keeps
And
on giving.
It is, but it's also a part of why I am the way I am with the students that we have here. I'm tough on them. I have a definite requirement as far as your academia, as far as your instrument, as far as the way you relate to the world, your socialization. All those things have very strict and stringent rules that we require. But at the end of the day, they're successful. And it's their success. That's all the gratitude that I need.
We're speaking again with, I want to say the professor, but we're going to stick with the doctor. Dr. Tim Zachary of the Prairie View A&M University Marching Storm, very knowledgeable and sound musician. Mr. Director, when you
Yes, sir.
have all of this training behind you, how difficult or challenging is it for you to transfer that into a young raw musician who is stuck on doing it their way?
That's an interesting quandary, and we don't run into it very often anymore. At the beginning of the transition and the beginning of our tenure here, and it's not, like I said, this is not a singularity. I have a team that is second to none. I like to call them the royal court. Everybody's a duke or a duchess of something.
Right,
Because they're
right.
all genius. They have a genius gene in some way, form, or fashion, every single one of them. And they bring that to the table, and we are like knights at the round table. We sit down and we decide what we're going to do this week. And so I don't want the audience to be fooled. There is a team of people behind me that are also phenomenal in their own right, and they make every contribution to the storm in every way that they can. So the storm's success is not a singularity. But the way we motivate our students is by example and modeling. That's it. Every lesson that I have as a trumpet teacher, I am modeling what I want you to have because all of my teachers model for me. As a person, I'm going to deal with you with dignity and respect because I want to model that for everyone. Now, I also talk to our students like some of them need to be talked to. They have to understand. They need to hear that because in every situation, the word please is not going to work.
Yes, sir.
And just because the person does not mean that person isn't worthy of having it said a different way so that they get it and they get that same degree that everyone else gets.
I read between those lines quite well, Doc.
Well, everyone that knows me, you when you know me, you know you're going to get what you get. I'm going to be the same person. Like I said, I believe in humility and respect and pushing the students as far as they can go, pushing the staff as far as they can go, always trying to achieve what we can achieve in a fashion that's both efficient and effective, working for no reason. All of those things have been the pillars by which we've been able to erect our version of what was already a nationally and internationally famous band. We have to give all props to Prof. Ed for all of his years of tenure and all of the blood, sweat, and tears that he put into making this band what it is, as well as Dr. McQueen and Mr. Abair and all the other directors, Mr. Mosley from the 1970s, Mr. Daniels from the 1950s and 60s, all the way back to A.D. Ewell in 1912. The band has a long and rich history, and like I said, we're just very fortunate to be here to hold the banner.
As a matter of fact, when you brought up all those wonderful historic names, that sense of PV pride begins to rise up. But it's a little bit unique when you are the first band to be invited to the Macy Thanksgiving Parade. We spoke with you when it was first announced a couple of years back and making the preparations. Explain that experience on the beginning of getting the initial news, the preparation, the actual event, and then the aftermath when all the dust has settled.
Well, Macy's was a wonderful experience. I'm glad they only accept applications once every 7 years. Once you go, wow. Let's get the historical perspective. There are other HBCUs that have done Macy's. The great thing about Macy's is that if you look at the past 25 years, you're talking about 3 HBCUs, maybe 4, out of the 110 schools that we have. So that in itself is phenomenal. But the leading of the Macy's parade, which is, I believe, the first time that HBCU has led the parade.
Yes, sir.
And being in the room with Ohio University and all of the other universities that were in the parade, and them saying the parade is going to be led by Prairie View, and I wasn't paying attention. I was there. We were in New York. We were in the room. We've been there all day long. But then when I look across the room and I realize the astonishment on my colleague's face, it was one of those things that you realize, wow, this must mean something somewhere else. And, like I said, I'm a very humble person. And we went to New York, and I got so much, advice from my elders and all those guys, like I said, that I respect. There's so many, man, that have gone away from the history books that people will never know their names, but they're phenomenal band directors. And every band director in this game right now needs to put up a banner of all these guys who are at these other institutions that helped us to become who we are before they're forgotten. But I would get calls from those guys that are still around, and they would say, man, you should go to New York and you should play a march. And I would say to myself, well, why would I do that? They didn't choose me because I played marches. But then they were doing it out of respect, and they were doing it out of tradition. I get it. So we decided, you know what, when we go to New York, we're going to be the best us that we've ever been.
There you go.
Like us, love us, hate us. We're going to be us. And I love the introduction when Matt Lauer was on television, and he says, man, these guys are loud. That's what he said on national television. But, the other thing he missed was they're good.
Right.
They're outstanding.
Loud and clear. How about that?
Yes, sir. It was a wonderful experience, but there's no note that we played in the state of New York or at the Macy's Parade that was more impactful to me than watching the students. 70% of them had never flown. Ever. Watching their faces as I looked around the plane to watch it take off, and then seeing their faces as we got ready to land in New York. Watching them traverse Times Square and go to the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island and see history, stuff that they saw on television, maybe read in a book, and to see it live and to be able to touch it, and the experiences that they had. And I treat all of our students like adults. There is no, you got to be in it. No. You know what time we leave. You know what the performance is. You need to know your limits to get where you need to be. Be
yes,
safe.
Sir.
Always be with someone else.
Yes, sir.
But if we don't let them experience life, how do they experience life?
You're right.
So they had a remarkable experience. They came back, and a lot of them would step into the office and they would talk about the highlights of the trip and some of the weirdest things. Like we had a dinner cruise while we were at, we did not rehearse in New York except for the day before the parade. They were literally scheduled all day long, sightseeing tours. They went to Harlem. They went to the Apollo. They went to the World Trade Center. We took all of them to the Statue of Liberty and all of them to the island. And, to really make sure that, Dr. Wright insisted that they have a historical education about the city. That was one of the things that he insisted, he and Dr. Nate. Coming along, Dr. Simmons was in 100,000% for support of what we were doing. In fact, she was on the sideline at the parade, and she was overjoyed by seeing it. So it was a great thing and an awesome experience from a playing and performance standpoint. But we altered some people's lives that week. They see the world as bigger now than they did before.
Absolutely. And, that is part of what the university experience should be. Yes, you're coming to get an education, but what makes it university is a derivative from the word universe. And we're pulling and learning from all walks of life. And as you mentioned, you've impacted lives that could give a person the opportunity to see beyond what they've been accustomed to seeing. And it all started with some instruments. It all started with a vision. All started when you were 12, 13 years old, getting those free $30 lessons every half hour that led to where we are right now. And when we talk about that, and I'm enjoying this thoroughly, I know the audience is enjoying this as well. When we talk about all the things that makes an HBCU, I heard you loud and clear that music is music. It's either good or bad. But just like that astonishment that was on your colleague's face when they said the storm is going to lead us. The HBCU experience from a band level, some like the characteristic as undisciplined, but I look at it it's not an undiscipline. It's that you being you and tapping into what made you who you are when it comes to an instrument. And I'm saying all that to say how important is it when you deal and get invited to the Battle of the Bands?
Uh, let's revisit one of those things, the undisciplined word. Marching band that I know of is a paramilitary group, meaning it's quasi-military. And the structure, rank structure, from the band captains to the drum majors to the section leaders, which act as lieutenants in the band. So I don't see that. I can walk in the band room with 430 people, hold up one finger, and they all stop talking. I don't need anyone to tell them to stop talking. I can tell them to leave the room, and 430 people will be on the street within 5 minutes. I don't know where else you can do that other than the military.
Yes, sir. Now, for the record, now I didn't say you were undisciplined, but people, they look at it and say, "What are they doing?" You
Well,
understand?
people that are not knowledgeable about the experience. In fact, we had some blowback from the Macy's. We had one lady who was in the middle of the country somewhere who didn't like what we did as a group, and she called to express that. And I took the call and I said, "Madam, if you were offended by what you saw, we apologize, but understand that what we submitted to Macy's is who we are. And they chose to bring us in because of who we are. So we were not going to go on that television screen and become someone that we're not."
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that's the way I feel about this question is when we hit that field, no matter how much discipline they have in that band room, they're going to excite the audience. Now, and the dance routine is going to be phenomenal for the kids because that's their contribution. And, every once in a while we'll do something, the throwback show for people like us.
Yes,
make
sir.
us remember what it was like.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But, and the rest of the show it's pretty much so designed. We have to think about the show design and it's also an educational purpose for the audience. We need to remember that the reason that bands do drills, and I think this has it's one of the things it's lost. The reasons that bands do drills is to show the audience how disciplined they are together. It's not about the songs. It's not even about the formations. It's about their ability to work together, to get 400 people to work as a single unit. And everywhere else in the world, if you could do that, you are impressive.
Yes, yes.
But we've lost what it means to go out and nail a drill because the audience is so wound up by so many different things from technology and social media and the constant impetus as far as trying to entertain them that they don't realize that that's not what that is. That is supposed to say, wow, man, these kids have gone together and they've stayed together long enough that they can get 362 counts and nobody misses a single beat.
That's a beautiful sight.
Incredible.
That's a beautiful sight, too. It is an absolute beautiful sight.
Sometimes it gets lost on our audience because they want to be entertained from point A to point Z. There are parts of the show that are purely about the audience.
Yes.
They are.
Yes.
But the drill and the slow number, that is supposed to draw you in and say, wow, this is a good musical group. And not only that, they're playing my old school song that is.
Yes, sir. Make you get up for at least 3 minutes, right?
There you go. And that's what that is designed for. And then we get to clown with the other band when there's another band, and it's never personal. And that's the one thing that the young generation of band directors has lost. And I try to bring that. We had a meeting with the SWAC Band Directors Conference recently, and I put that on the table. I am a student of Isaac Greggs, and Isaac was probably one of the most well-known band directors in the history of what we do. He had a personality that was big as, the Empire State Building. But I was really close to him because I was one of his students, and we were close. I got to see him commune with every band director from every school. And it wasn't an adversarial thing. It was one out of respect. Now, when we got on that field, he would tell you, I'm going to tear you up.
Yes, sir. Yes, that competitor comes out.
Afterwards, and we could talk about me tearing you up. That was Isaac Gregg.
All right.
And that was Prof. Ed. And that was, Dr. or Prof. Graves at Tennessee State and all those other great men that we stand on their shoulders. They were adversarial on the field and in the stands. After that, they understood that this is a profession, and we should hold our chest just as high as any surgeon, any engineer, any computer scientist, because we have a honorable profession, and it is at the end of the day a profession. We're not kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're speaking right now with Dr. Tim Zachary of the Prairie View A&M University Marching Storm right at the Mike Prince Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. A historian, a walking, living historian is Dr. Zachary, as we're discussing not only PV March Storm, but HBCU bands as a whole. Now, there is a question that I have from one of my listeners, and they wanted to make sure that I ask you this question. And the question
Yes,
is, do you plan to have a battle of the bands with Southern when they come on the hill this year?
Well, it's always an open invitation to anyone that wants to come and sit in an arena with us. We're probably more deadly in an arena than we are on the field. But we invite anyone, all challengers. If you got a horn, now that don't matter, junior high school through whatever. You come to play, we come in to play.
And so, don't cry when you get cut, right?
We're going to pat you on the back and send you home.
All right.
You know, we would love to have that experience with anyone in Southern, Texas Southern. It doesn't matter. My only requirement is that we always keep it professional and we remember that it's a show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's all about the show.
It's entertainment for our audience, and it's a great opportunity for our bands to hone their skills and to present something wonderful to the people that are there. And, of course, it'll be seen on technology. But that's the only thing. But that goes back to my last statement. We're so disjointed and disjunct as band directors that we're starting to take this stuff personal, and it's not. If your band isn't as good as the other band, go make them better.
There you go. Plain and simple.
If you're the top dog on the hill, keep doing what you're doing.
That's right. It is what it is until someone does something different.
But when you think about the plight of HBCU bands and why they were so good at a certain time in history, you will also realize that they actually competed. There were championships. In the 70s, there were actually band championships where HBCU bands competed in these things, and which made them go and hone their skills and come back better.
Yes.
And in some cases, they won. People, for a little-known fact, people do not realize that Mississippi Valley was considered as the best HBCU band in the country in the 60s, and they did not do anything remotely close to popular music. They were the first black band to go to the Rose Bowl parade in the 60s.
That's saying something right there. That's saying something.
But they did no pop music. We have to redefine and understand our lineage and not just say that we were born yesterday.
Yes, sir. Well, you know what's unique about their, band, their fight song is a 1970s disco song that they've mastered. I know a little bit, Doc. I'm not as deep as you are, but I do a little research every now and then. But
hey, man, I always appreciate having a conversation with someone that can at least know that there's more to it than what they see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I really believe when you were talking earlier about the music, I call this it's an ebb and flow from music. And music, whoever first created the lyrics to a particular song, whether you sing them or they're instrumental versions, someone had to be inspired. And then that was translated to someone who composed the music. They were inspired to match the music up with those lyrics. Then to the musicians to bring the music to life, they have to be inspired. And then if there's vocalists involved, they have to. So there's a whole lot of moving parts working to make the music. And that's why good music never, ever dies. It never dies. It may come in as a sample 20 years down the road, but you can never, ever get rid of good music.
Amen, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are talking right now with the one and only, the Dr. Tim Zachary of Prairie View A&M University, Panthers marching storm. Now, I'm enjoying myself thoroughly. I know that this is something that's refreshing for our listening audience. I've got to ask you this. It's something that I've noticed, and maybe you can give me some clarity. When we're playing football games and the defensive team is on the field for the home team and the band begins to play, they try to quiet the band down. I always thought that was home field advantage. But when I notice other games, in fact, I'll be more direct. When Prairie View went to play University of Incarnate Word, their bands played all throughout the game and they were never required to stop playing. Why is that?
Well, that's an interesting question. It was one that was brought up at our recent meeting, at the conference meeting with the band directors. We have a list of rules, and you can find them on the SWAC homepage that, are extensive and intensive as far as the penalties that will be doled out based on your infraction. And several bands have fallen victim to this. And what it does is it makes you like anyone else. If you're told to stop all the time, you become very timid. You become gun shy. We are just as much a part of the game day experience as the players in our conference.
Can I be very candid with you, Doc?
Yes, sir.
I'm class of '93, Prairie View A&M University. And just a term that we say.
What you're about to say.
Yes, sir. The band is what literally brought the people out to the games. Okay. And if it wasn't for the band, there probably would have been massive amounts of suicides in the stands, to help keep people, in app. Because once, and I'm just keeping it 100, Doc, once halftime was over with, you could throw a rock and miss everybody in the stands during the old days. So I don't understand how is it that we're slowly allowing what made us great to be eroded because you're trying to fit in this little window that they say this is where you should be, when it's all in good nature, it's all in good sport, it's all in celebrating life.
It is, and I think that Coach Dooley, our new coach, is on board with that. He has had two experiences I know of where the bands are an integral part of what the team's success is. So I know he's going to have that expectation here at PV as well. But the challenge right now is to have them revisit those rules because, as you said, the rules clearly state that while the ball is in play, you cannot play. Now, realize that we have a no-huddle offense with just about every team. So unless you got a 3-second song, you're not playing. And then we were given a warning this year when we played on the kickoff, which we were able to do before. But now that's in question. So if you can't play on the kickoffs and you can't play with the no-huddle offenses and you can only play on opposite timeouts based on advertising, which the audience may not know, we cannot play when, the audience or the school has obligations for playing advertisements. So we have speakers on that says, no, you play on the next timeout. And what that does is, and like I said, we prepare for these like you were going to ancient Rome and you were going to be a gladiator. That's the way the band prepares for this competition on a Friday or Saturday for us. And everyone is prepared to its maximum ability. And when you sit in the stands, you got 400 people, and they're going to get bored. We help them cheerleaders as much as we can. But our sole purpose is to come there and energize the audience and get the team to go out and want to eat nails against the other team.
Absolutely.
That's what we're there for.
Absolutely.
And because of the way the rules are written, they don't want drums, they don't want cymbal crashes, they don't want any horns, no sound, which is amazing because, as you said, when you leave our conference and you go to the other conference, the audience can become a team member just by distraction.
Yes. Yes.
University of Michigan. That is one of the most intimidating places in the world when the audience starts to boo.
And like you say, and we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to. You guys gave me an assignment, Doc, and I'm gonna have to dig a little bit deeper and find out exactly why that is
Well, they have
because
very specific rules for us, and I wish that more of our fans and audiences from all HBCUs would visit those rules at the SWAC homepage and ask if they're, if they're in support of them, support them. If you're not, let the people in charge know what you would like to see.
hold on,
We
Doc.
are,
Hold on, Doc. Hold on now, Doc. Hold on. Am I hearing that you suggest we start a coup?
no, sir. That's not what I said. I said if you're in support of them, let them know you're in support of them. If you're not supporting them, let them know that too. But most of the blowback comes to people in the uniforms who said when you leave in the stadium, man, why did you guys play against that? Well, because we can't afford a $10,000 fine.
Now here, I'm going to interject just right here. Now hear this, PV Nation. If you want the Storm to play throughout the game and be a ruckus and riotous group of young individuals, if you're willing to support to the $10,000 fine fund, then cheer them on right away. So I'm pretty sure Doc has a Twitter account and a GoFundMe account that they would love to collect, and they'll play to your heart's content. Was that good enough there, Doc?
Well, we're not going to break the rules intentionally. Not going to happen. They're going to have to change those rules.
Yes,
But as
sir.
long as they are the rules, we will adhere and do what we're supposed to do as a band and as an institution. But, like I said, most of the blowback comes to the band directors and even the students because they are just as connected to the world as anyone else. When you were told not to play, even, at the big games, the Cotton Bowl and all these games, and we were literally told that you can only play X, Y, and Z. And the
Okay.
audience doesn't get that play sheet. They get us sitting there looking crazy in the sun.
Well, you know what? This is one of the reasons that you're on today. It brings some clarity, because people say, "Man, I thought they was going to do more. I thought they were going to play more," and then you have people want to throw rocks at you when it's not you. You're just the messenger. You didn't have the message. You're just carrying out what they say
No,
do.
those rules have been in place since 2008. That's when they came about, and that's, as you can see, there's a degradation of the rules, being that they obeyed them a little bit when they first came out, a little bit more as the years progressed. And now we're at the point that people are actually recognizing that we're actually obeying the rules that they may or may not know about.
There you go. There you
So,
go. Well, in all that getting, we get an understanding, and that's just what we got a moment ago. So we're going to have to work through that one though, and leave it up to me, Doc. I'll start the drum, and you don't have to worry about anything, and I'll take all the heat for it from whatever it comes because it kills the mood, if you would.
it kills the game day
Yeah.
experience, and that's
Yes.
what we've said. But at the same time, you know, I'm certain that they were put in place for a reason. Now, whether that reason exists today or not, I don't know, because I wasn't here when they were put in place.
Well, see, you
You
got
know,
me, you got me gasping and everything right now, Doc. When you see here's the problem that I'm seeing, and I said
hmm
I was going to behave today, but you making this come out of me, Doc. When you get caught up in what everybody else is doing, it's the beginning of losing your own identity. And I don't care what they're doing anywhere else. This is a part of what makes us great. This is a part of what makes us desirable. This is a part of why we are standing on the shoulders that we're standing on. As long as things are being done decent and in order, why do you want to interfere or interact with something? Next, you're going to be saying that you're going to have cotton drumsticks because you're playing too loud. And I don't get it. I really don't get it.
well, we're in the same boat, and even as I said before, we understand what the rules are, and we still try to give the audience as much as we can squeeze out of it without getting a flag.
Yes, sir. And I do understand that, and we respect you guys for that. Now, Doc, I've had you on here for quite some time, and I really appreciate it. But I want people to know, how can they follow you guys? I know everyone has social media awareness, and do you have any important scheduled dates coming up where the band is going to be doing their thing?
Yes, sir. You can follow us at the Marching Storm Facebook page or the Marching Storm Twitter. We have the Black Foxes also have a Twitter feed, as well as our color guard, the Twirling Thunder. We have what I want to see is the PV Nation show up and show out for our Family and Friends Day. Every year we have a Family and Friends Day where we basically introduce this year's version of the band on August 24th at 10 o'clock. We haven't found the site yet because the Baby Dome's offline. And so we're looking for an alternative site. And we're not trying to do it in the football field because it's Texas and it's hot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But we want to make sure that all of our family, friends, and fans come out and support the 2018-19 Marching Storm and get their first vision of what's to come this year. I'm really excited about this year. Little known fact is that I've always focused on retention. And we focus on recruitment a lot. But in my 14 to 20 years of doing this as a band director and as a performer, I realized that the longer a person stays, the more they know. The more they know, the less you have to teach. And at the end of it, it is a reciprocating fact that the longer they stay, the more likely they are to graduate.
Yes, sir. Some of them want to hang around even after they've graduated, just for the fact of still doing it. You know, I've seen some guys in the band I know been around for I'm gonna say at least 5-6 years. You know, just
you know what's amazing now, and we're blending the old with the new. What I realize now is the kids that stay, they stay and go into their master's degree. I have one now. I'm not going to say her name. She came to me last spring and she said, "Doc, you know I can graduate this semester." And I was like, "Well, go on and graduate. That's awesome." She said, "Nope, I'm going to be in the Marching Storm in the fall." I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, I finished school in 3 years."
Wow.
I just turned around and said, "Well, wow." She said, "Well, I'll be here in the fall." I said, "Cool." And then she came to me the other day. She's a phenomenal person, a great bandsman. She's going to make one of the best alums that I know. She came back and she said, "You know what? I'm going to go to grad school." But that has become the recurring theme. Those that stay in the band and they stay working with the band, they are going on to get master's degrees in computer science and criminal justice, and you name it. And they're getting these master's degrees at PV.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So they're staying, but they're staying with a purpose.
I have one more question and a request, Doc. And my question is this: is there any type of requirement as if it would be for a student athlete as far as the band requirements go?
There are. We have. When I came to the program, there were several charges that the administration laid before me, before taking the job. Some of those charges, there will be no hazing in the band. They didn't say how to do it. They didn't tell me why I was doing it. They just said, "You're going to do this."
Absolutely.
I said, "Well, I can do that." They said the minimum GPA to participate in band will be a 2.0. The minimum GPA to keep a scholarship would be a 2.5. Now, I balked at that at first. I was like, It makes sense to me now. It makes a lot of sense. When you look at the statistics for the band program from 2012 to 2018, and it's plus or minus 4%, but we are averaging 89 to 92% of them getting a 2.0 or better every year, and that's for the full year. We're averaging 68 to 72% having above a 2.5. For 400 people, that's when you put that statistic in any high school, you'll realize that is not being matched anywhere other than these elite schools. So those stipulations, and we have, I have my own set of rules. You can argue all day long in the band. I'm up for a spirited debate. If you can convince somebody with words, whatever your opinion is, that they should follow, I get you. You cannot physically touch anyone in the band. And I don't care which side of the equation you're on. You are out of band. And in 7 years, there's been one fight.
And that's probably because someone was in somebody's shade tree.
That was in 2012 when they didn't understand that the rule was real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But after that, we've learned to get along better. We've learned communicative skills that We can have a standoff that says, I agree to disagree. We can have that. We don't have to make somebody agree with us.
And there's nothing wrong with that neither. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, but that's the real world. Not every boss that you have is going to understand what you're saying. Do you quit because they don't? No. You do your job to the best of your ability. And your job at that time is to communicate with them in a way that they understand what your side is. That's society. And
Yes.
that's what we're teaching. We're
Yes,
teaching
sir.
them to go out and be productive members and productive people, as the motto says, but also those life skills that will determine whether you succeed or fail. And as long as that is the order of the day, the music will be fine. I cannot teach the Prairie View Nation how to get down. I can't teach that. Because you know why? Somewhere in that soil on the Alta Vista plantation,
Yes, sir.
there's a soul living in there
Yes,
that
sir.
everybody that walks across that arch gets a part of.
Yes, sir.
They're one of the most entertaining, getting down, getting funky bands without us ever saying a word.
Yes, sir.
It's innate in them. So that's not what we're teaching. We're teaching them life scenarios that help them to further whatever their goals are.
Very well stated, Doc. Now, here's my request. As you may mention,
What old school song you want? I got.
you know what? It's not even an old school song. It's an old school request, though, an old man's request. Is there any way when the band is in the dome that they can play as if they're not outdoors?
We got you, man. We got you. Now you don't have them writing off about the internet. They're playing too soft again.
No. I'm not. No, notice I said indoors, not outdoors. You know, I'm like, I've been by courtside, and I could even hear myself because I'm like, oh my. Well, just y'all go back to break, and whenever they done, we'll come back. No, but it's
you know what I'm gonna do for you.
What's that?
We'll have somebody watch you to make sure we're not cranking up while you're talking. But other than that, as you said, I hope that when you get the spinach can that there's spinach in it, and when you get the storm, there's the storm in it.
I know that's right, Doc. I know that's right. Man, look, this has been a breath of fresh air for not only me, but for those that listen on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and the Mike Prince Show. We have a custom here, Doc, that we will allow our guests to have final thoughts and comments, and now the floor is all yours.
I am looking forward to another awesome year. My team, the band, the university, we'd like to say a hearty welcome to Dr. Simmons and the administration. We all have our own charges, the things that we must accomplish, but none of these things can be accomplished without the support of the PV Nation. So we look to see you there, stop by, say hi, so we can put a face to a name, and you realize that we're just as much a human being as you are. So those are my final thoughts, and we look forward to seeing you guys out on the battlefield.
All right, he is Dr. Tim Zachary, the man in charge, band director of the Prairie View A&M University Marching Storm. You can hear them before you see them because that's just how we roll. I want to thank you all so much for joining us on today. I am the radio guy, the Dr. Mike Prince. Remember that you can follow me on Twitter at Radio Guy. Instagram is Radio Guy 22. The website is obnradio.com. And in the Prairie View community, you can check us out at 87.9 FM. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.